Swadika, good morning and thank you for joining us on Newsline for Tuesday, November 26th of 2013. My name is Sandra Hanutsaha. In today's top stories, Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra has announced the imposition of the Internal Security Act, or ISA, in Bangkok after anti-government demonstrators escalated their movement. Now let's take a look at today's headlines. His Majesty King Bhumibol Adulyadej proceeded from Glaigangwon Palace in Hua Hin of Prachop Khiri Khan to Marikathayawan Palace in Cha'am District of Phetchaburi Province, where he paid a private visit to pay homage to the statue of King Wachirawut, or King Rama VI, to commemorate his death on November 25th of 1925. Upon his arrival at the Marikathayawan Palace, His Majesty the King laid a garland at King Wachirawut's statue and then proceeded to the bathing pavilion by the beach, which is linked to the main Samut Phiman section of the palace by a covered corridor. The Marikathayawan Palace was built in 1923 by King Wachirawut as a summer retreat. The overall design was done by the king himself. The two-story teak palace was built on a raised floor in Thai architectural style, blended with the Western architecture. The palace consists of three sections, one of which used to be the residence of Queen Suwatana during her pregnancy. Queen Suwatana gave birth to Her Royal Highness Princess Pecharat Dhanarachasuda, the only child of King Wachirawut. The palace is nowadays part of the Special Training Division of the Border Patrol Police Bureau and is looked after by the Prarachaniwed Marikathayawan Foundation under the royal patronage. It is open to the public for viewing every day except Wednesday. His Majesty the King spent about 2 hours at the palace before returning to Glaigangwon Palace in Hua Hin. Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra has announced the imposition of the Internal Security Act, or ISA, in Bangkok and Nonthaburi, as well as some parts of Samut Prakan and Pathum Thani provinces, after anti-government demonstrators escalated their movement. In a televised address, Prime Minister Yingluck said the government had decided to enforce the ISA in additional areas in a bid to ensure safety for the Thai citizens amid the heated political atmosphere. She cited that although the anti-government rallies were initially peaceful, the core leaders had stepped up their strategy and led their supporters to lay siege to government offices, including the Finance Ministry, the Bureau of the Budget, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Public Relations Department. The ISA will now be effective in Bangkok, Nonthaburi, Bangpli District of Samut Prakan, and Ladlum Gao District of Pathum Thani. On this occasion, the Premier encouraged all security units to adhere to their duties and continue to provide protection for the public. She also called on anti-government groups to count on the upcoming no-confidence debate as a parliamentary means to help iron out the current political conflict. Although the security law was being imposed, Ms. Yingluck asserted force will not be used against people and all actions by law enforcers will follow the globally accepted standard. She also asked all state officials to facilitate convenience for the public and to continue their services to the public. Ms. Yingluck also called for people not to support demonstrations that violate the law and to collaborate with law enforcers to uphold order. She also called on those rallying in Bangkok to rely instead on the central debate to settle differences. Minister of Labor Chalam Yubamrong warned demonstrators in Bangkok to leave the state offices they have seized before they are prosecuted under serious charges. Police Captain Chalam asserted the blockade and seizing of several state offices in Bangkok were damaging the country and were considered violations of the criminal code. He would like to warn members of the public who have been misled into joining such acts to leave the compounds of these said state offices before they are charged under serious offenses. The minister noted that law enforcement officials are empowered to immediately make arrests for such violations without having to wait for warrants from the court. Police Captain Chalum added that if state assets were seized or destroyed, the charge of destroying public property would be added among other charges against the protest leaders. Education Minister Jaturon Chaisang has revealed that the recently announced closures of 24 schools situated near demonstration venues for 2 days are not a response to the demonstrators' demands, but an effort to save students and teachers from inconvenience. Mr. Jaturon explained that his ministry is keeping close contact with the schools affected by the demonstrations, adding that the decision whether or not to cancel classes is entirely up to the school principals. He also put a stop to the rumors that the school closures were implemented as a favor to the demonstrators, saying the move was necessary to ensure safety for school staff and students as the gatherings had blocked the school's entrances. The education minister mentioned that some of the ministry's employees could not come to work due to road blockades. He said if the situation dragged on, it would pose threats to the nation's economy and society. Mr. Jaturon expressed his view that the demonstrations should not be prolonged, reasoning that since the activities were originally initiated to oppose the amnesty bill and the bill is no longer on the horizon, the gatherings are now practically pointless. He also considered the demonstrators' demand for the dissolution of Parliament undemocratic. Suvarnabhumi Airport strongly has suggested that passengers leave for the airport at least 3 hours before their scheduled flights to avoid heavy traffic congestion in the capital caused by various political demonstrations. Following the current political situation, the Airports of Thailand, or AOT, has released a statement advising air travelers to arrive at the airport 3 hours ahead of their departure, as the ongoing protests could snarl up traffic around Bangkok. The AOT has also encouraged passengers to use public transportation, such as the airport rail link, if they are leaving Thailand from Suvarnabhumi Airport. For further information and updates, please call 1722. Government Chief Whip Amnoy Klangpa affirms that the no-confidence debate will only take place on November 26th and 27th, while expressing belief that the House session will go on as scheduled despite the current demonstrations. Regardless of the opposition's request for a period of 3 days for the no-confidence debate, Mr. Amnoy stated that the government whip had made a decision to allocate only 2 days for the debate, tomorrow and Wednesday. The vote will then be cast by MPs on Thursday, November 28th. The government chief whip was also confident that the debate would be held as scheduled, even with the demonstrators' presence. However, he has assigned security agencies to evaluate the situation and prepare backup plans should demonstrators block the parliament entrances during the session. He also said Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra would provide clarifications by herself during the no-confidence debate. The scheduled mobile cabinet meeting in Songkhla province this weekend has been postponed. According to government spokesperson Tirat Ratanasewi, the cabinet on Monday decided to postpone its mobile meeting in Songkhla province, originally scheduled for November 29th to 30th. He said the government at present would have to focus on helping flood victims in the southern region. However, the spokesperson did not reveal the exact date for the next mobile cabinet meeting. Deputy Prime Minister Gitirat Naranong has made a surprise visit to the southernmost province of Pattani yesterday to host a meeting over the government's infrastructure loan bill. Mr. Gitirat said the informal visit is aimed at creating a good understanding of the 2.2 trillion baht mega projects and at encouraging southern residents to attend the government's exhibition of the scheme at the end of this month. According to him, the government wishes to include the southern region in their future infrastructure projects, which consists of the deep-sea port in Patani and the dual-track railways to Sungai Golok district. During his trip, the Deputy Prime Minister met with the province's administrative bodies, religious and business leaders. The Ministry of Social Development and Human Security is keen on building a strong community by enhancing the abilities of the disabled. Social Development and Human Security Minister Pawena Hongsugun made the comment at the opening ceremony of a seminar aimed at strengthening the Thai community by improving skills of the disabled. The seminar was held at the non-commissioned RTAF Officers Club in Sai Mai district of Bangkok. Minister Pawena said there are over 2 million disabled people in Thailand, with nearly 1,800 residing in Sai Mai district. Therefore, the minister is adamant in promoting Sai Mai as a model community that the disabled can depend on. She at the same time urged the disabled to contribute themselves to society in order for Thailand to have strong communities. Ms. Pawena went on to say that she had ordered her ministry to set up a development center in Rangsit area, adding that the center will be the biggest and the most integrated development center for the disabled in Thailand and the Asian region. And that's the end of our first segment for this morning. We'll now take a short break, but coming up next, a commercial bank has voiced concerns that Thai tourism and domestic spending will be affected if the ongoing protests are prolonged. Don't go away.
Open the world of information. Embrace public participation. Present Thainess to the world. New dimension of the government's public relations. The 80th anniversary of the Public Relations Department. Creative media for the society. Mobilizing Thailand towards the ASEAN community.
เมื่อมนุษย์ทำลายสมดุลทางธรรมชาติและมนุษย์ก็เป็นผู้ประสบภัยพิบัติจากธรรมชาติร่วมสร้างอนาคตลดภัยพิบัติระดมพลังพลิกฟื้นคืนผืนป่าในทุกชุมชนทั่วประเทศ
For those who have Android smartphones, you can download a PRD News application by searching for PRD News English in Play Store. That way, you can stay up to date with the latest happenings in Thailand.
Welcome back. You're watching Newsline, and first up in our business stories, the cabinet has been informed that 21 million tourists visited Thailand during the period between January and October 2013. According to Deputy Government Spokesperson Chalitrat Jantarubeksa, the cabinet has acknowledged the Ministry of Tourism and Sports statistic reports in terms of the number of tourists visiting Thailand. However, it is concerned that the number might drop as a result of the current political situation. Each year, the statistic reports help the government in formulating tourism development policies, given the tourism industry generates enormous amounts of income for Thailand. During January to October 2013, the number of tourists visiting Thailand increased over 22% year on year. Western Asia, Europe, and America are the top 3 regions where tourists visiting Thailand come from, with the top 10 countries being China, Malaysia, Russia, Japan, South Korea, Laos, India, Australia, the United Kingdom, and Singapore. Siam Commercial Bank has voiced concerns that Thai tourism and domestic spending will be affected if the ongoing protests are prolonged, calling on all sides to urgently end their political conflicts. Siam Commercial Bank President Kanika Chalit-Aporn said the political deadlock in Thailand might exacerbate the risks caused by the Fed's quantitative easing reduction. If the protests ended soon, Thailand's GDP growth could expand by 4 to 5% next year. As for commercial banks' loan growth next year, the SCB president said it might expand by 8 to 9%, decreasing from the 10 to 11% in 2013 due to sluggish real estate loan growth. The nation's economic outlook and regional consumption rate are on the decline, says a survey conducted by the Thai Chamber of Commerce's Center for Economic and Business Forecasting. According to the survey, there are only 5 positive economic factors in the fourth quarter of this year. They include the number of tourists, border trade figures, provincial investment promotion policies, speedy budget approval, and the government's economic stimulus packages. As for the negative factors, the poll revealed that they include political and economic instability, lack of labor and skilled labor, falling prices of agricultural and commodity products, rising fuel prices, the southern violence, and the decline in consumers' confidence. In the wake of the ailing economic performance and the decline in consumption rate, tourism is the only major factor that helps support the economy, adding that public utility systems play an important role in provincial development. In addition, the Center for Economic and Business Forecasting is set to revise the nation's 2013 and 2014 economic growth figures on December 12th. Local purchasing power has decreased 10 to 20%, with the current political uncertainty adding to lower overall consumption of goods within the country. President of Sahapat Pibun, or Sahapat, the Vice President of the Thai Chamber of Commerce Committee, Bunchai Chokwatana, has reported a 10 to 20% drop in local spending for general goods and a 40 to 50% decrease in spending on luxury goods. According to the Dean of the Faculty of Business Management of the University of the Thai Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Ekachai Pisakun, the current political unrest has affected both foreign and local investors' confidence. Foreign investors have begun to transfer funds out of the country to the tune of approximately 40 billion baht so far, noticeably in the stock market. However, if the situation is resolved soon and no violence erupts within the kingdom, the economic year of 2013 should see a 3.7% growth and a 4.5% growth for 2014. The Office of Industrial Economics, or OIE, has predicted that next year's rubber consumption will reach 750,000 tons. According to Mr. Somchai Hanhiran, the director of the OIE, he is confident that demand for rubber will hit the said figure in 2014 and 1 million tons in 2015. The comment came after the second meeting with rubber business operators over approaches to strengthening rubber product output in order to stimulate demand in the industrial sector, which currently stands at 500,000 tons annually. After the Board of Investment, or BOI, has approved a plan to entice Michelin, the giant tire manufacturer in Songkhla province, to produce special medium-grade tires and export them to the company's mother country, France. And if the plan goes well, it will increase the demand for raw rubber by 40,000 tons per year. Mr. Somchai said the tire industry, which accounts for 70% of the total rubber consumption, is expected to expand between 7 to 8% growth next year. Meanwhile, the latex glove industry, which normally consumes only 20% of the nation's rubber, is expected to continuously increase its production in line with the global economic recovery. In addition, the government approved 15 billion baht low-interest loans for rubber business owners via the Government Savings Bank and Thai Credit Guarantee Corporation is being finalized, and the conditions of the loan will soon be made public. The program will help enhance rubber production capability in the industry, leading to higher rubber consumption. And before we take a break, let's have a look at the exchange rates and commodity prices.
ป๊าเมื่อไหร่เราจะได้ข้าวเยอะๆสำหรับเลี้ยงครอบครัวเราล่ะป๊า
ไม่ต้องกังวลแล้วนะครับอันนี้คือข้าวเมล็ดพันธุ์ดีปลอดสารพิษตามพระราชดำริของพระองค์ท่านเพื่อฟื้นฟูนาล้างและเพิ่มศักยภาพของพื้นที่นาเดิมให้ได้ผลผลิตมากขึ้นนะครับ
เข้าใจเข้าถึงพัฒนา My Idol คนต้นแบบจังหวัดชายแดนภาคใต้โครงการประชาสัมพันธ์สนับสนุนการแก้ไขปัญหาในพื้นที่จังหวัดชายแดนภาคใต้กรมประชาสัมพันธ์
For those who have Android smartphones, you can download a PRD News application by searching for PRD News English in Play Store. That way, you can stay up to date with the latest happenings in Thailand.
Welcome back. You're watching Newsline. Disaster prevention and mitigation officials are warning people in 11 provinces in the south to brace against heavy raining expected in the latter part of this week. Thatchai Promlet, Director General of the Disaster Prevention and Mitigation Department, quoted the Weather Bureau's forecast for increased precipitation resulting from the arrival of a monsoon over the Gulf of Thailand and the southern region. The provinces to experience increased rainfall comprise Chumpon, Surathani, Nakhon Si Thammarat, Pathalung, Songkhla, Pattani, Yala, Narathiwat, Satun, Krabi, and Trang. Mr. Thatchai said officials from his department have been told to prepare to respond to floods and landslides. Officials have been put on 24-hour watches in the provinces, and spots with a history of experiencing the adverse consequences of heavy rain were receiving on-site monitoring by officials. Interior Minister Jarupong Rangsuwan indicated district chief officers and other heads of state offices responsible for assisting disaster-struck people were told to provide aid to affected members of the public to their best extent, while the Ministry of Interior would ensure that any budget disbursement for assisting those people would be speedily approved. And 1.6 million blue swimmer crabs have been released in Samut Sakhon province in the hope of preserving marine resources in the Gulf of Thailand. The Department of Fisheries has released 1.6 million blue swimmer crabs, also known as blue manna crabs, into the sea at Samut Sakhon province. According to Director General of Fisheries Department, Niwat Suthi Michaikun, blue swimmer crabs are very important to Thai economic growth, as nearly 3 billion baht worth of these crabs are exported each year, adding that demand for blue swimmer crabs is substantially high. As most of the exported crabs come from fishing, not farming, the number of crabs has been rapidly declining, especially in the Gulf of Thailand, where crab fishing is prevalent, causing crab fishermen in Samut Sakhon to struggle with limited resources. Therefore, the department was determined to release those marine animals back into the sea in order to rehabilitate marine resources. The released crabs were approximately 10 to 15 days old, and the director also expected up to 25 million crabs to be released by the end of the program. And that is it for today's edition of Newsline. For any comments or suggestions, please feel free to email them to us at newsline.nbt@gmail.com. And this morning we say goodbye with images of the beautiful scenery of mountains, forests, and animals in Phetchaburi Province. Have a wonderful day. I'm Sandra Hanudsaha. Sawasdee ka.